All right, we're starting our last kind of big section, and we'll actually kind of divide it up into two. This is the nervous system, and so there's another 4 chapters on the nervous system, and so it's a big area, lots to understand, lots of interrelated parts. And so we're going to talk today about the structure and function and divisions of the nervous system, which can be somewhat confusing. All right, so there's a picture there of a guy. You can see his brain and his spinal cord. That's the central nervous system, and you see nerves coming off of that. In part, that's the peripheral nervous system. Okay, so let's start with our general functions. Uh, the nervous system carries sensory input from sensory receptor organs and receptor cells to the central nervous system. This sensory input is integrated, so that means that inputs, like say from our eyes and our ears, are coordinated so that the brain can see both coming in and recognize that they're both happening simultaneously, and so that's an integration function. Our central nervous system is in charge of homeostasis, so it acts as the control center. It activates muscles and glands. That means it's controlling the effector organs. These are referred to as motor functions. So that's carrying motor input, would be another way to do that. Motor input activates muscles, activates gland. Then you also have some more integration type functions. These are the higher functions like consciousness, memory, thought, all sorts of things that multiple inputs are integrated at the same time. So this picture is just a joke from the movie Mars Attack. These are big brain guys and skulls. That's just what it is. Okay. All right. All right. Then again, here's my picture of the divisions of the nervous system. The central nervous system is enclosed in bone to protect it. It's floating in cerebral spinal fluid. That's the brain and the spinal cord. And then the peripheral nervous system carries nerves um, carrying inputs away to and from away the central nervous system. Some of these motor inputs going away are activating skeletal muscles. Those are somatic, and then others are activating things that are control is involuntary. Those are called autonomic. So we're going to kind of talk more about these divisions of the nervous system. Again, central nervous system, brain and spinal cord, protected by bony, the cranium for the brain, and then the vertebral column uh, contains an arch around the bone, so that's at least partially enclosed by bone. This is also floating in cerebral spinal fluids and surrounded by membranes to protect it. This is where most integration occurs, is in the central nervous system. Then the peripheral nervous system are nerves that branch off the brain and spinal cord. This nervous tissue is outside the central nervous system, so there's no bone protecting it. It's not enclosed in the 3 membranes or floating in cerebral spinal fluid. It contains nerves going to sensory receptors um, and nerves going to and from motor areas. These anatomical divisions perform different functions. Um, the peripheral nervous system detects stimuli and transmits information to the central nervous system, and then it receives motor input from the central nervous system and carries that to effectors. The central nervous system is going to process, integrate, and store information, responds to information from the peripheral nervous system, and sends information out to it. We can look at this another way. The central nervous system, brain and spinal cord shown in red up there, is receiving information and sending information to the peripheral nervous system. The peripheral nervous system has a sensory division that's transmitting information back and a motor division. Somatic parts of this are going to the skeletal muscle. The autonomic part of this is going to smooth muscle and glands, and we'll later talk about sympathetic, parasympathetic, and enteric systems. These are controlling organs and integrated functions like responding to an emergency. Um, Let me give you an example of this. This is kind of a simple example, but it's kind of helpful. The uh, the a bear is detected through sensory inputs. Okay, the sensory inputs might be the sight, the sound of the bear, the smell of the bear, things like that. These, the sensory division of the peripheral nervous system will carry action potentials to the central nervous system. The central nervous system, brain and spinal cord, will process and integrate that information. Okay, and it'll initiate responses that carry out um, of after to carry out this mental activity. Okay, that will leave the central nervous system and it will go into the peripheral nervous system and it will contain motor impulses. Some of those motor impulses will be somatic. They'll be conscious control of skeletal muscles. Others will be autonomic, which means it'll go to organs, muscles, cardiac muscle, smooth muscle, and glands. Okay, so this might be to raise your blood pressure, to dilate the pupils of your eyes. It might be to your adrenal glands so that you release some adrenaline, but these will prepare you for action. Okay, if he runs away, that this is a bad choice here, that he is nowhere near as fast as the bear. The bear will catch him. So hopefully there'll be some central nervous system processing and he'll recognize I shouldn't run. Maybe I should just back away slowly. Um, and maybe I should just pull out my bear spray or something like that. Okay, so next time we're going to talk more about cells of the nervous system, both the nerve cells and the accessory cells that help them. We'll start to talk about how those cells function and what they do. There's a lot to read here. This is again is some heavy duty physiology, so it requires a lot of attention. So start working on those cells, working on the Moodle quiz, and I'll see you later this week.